Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for Modern Survivalist. In this case, replying to a question that I got through Instagram. My Instagram is furfile308 if you want to follow me there. If you're interested in survival and preparedness, especially in the practical aspect of self-defense, home defense, practical survival skills, fighting with knives, improvised weapons, and a bunch of other stuff. I cover a lot of that in Street Survival Skills. Especially in terms of using firearms for self-defense, you really need firearms training with a qualified instructor. If you cannot get that because of restrictions in your country, because of financial reasons, Street Survival Skills is where I explain the things I learned from qualified instructors in different countries. Usually the basics they teach are the same because those things work. So that's what I share with you there. Of course, even better, get training with a qualified instructor. I understand though, financial restraints, legal restraints depending on the country in which you are, but I cover that there. And of course, in terms of surviving an economic collapse, a crisis like the one you're seeing right now, the Modern Survival Manual, Surviving the Economic Collapse. There are over 1,000 reviews in Amazon. By the way, if you like my books, leave a review in Amazon. That's really appreciated, especially with the algorithm. Anyway, that's a plug. Let's get to it. Here we have a question that I'm getting mostly because of the video regarding the store owner, which we saw a few videos ago. Basically, the store owner defends himself with a shotgun. A criminal with an AR walks in. He takes a shot with a shotgun. The criminal is hit in the arm. He starts yelling out. He screams, "I shot my arm off." He shot my arm off, and he takes off and he leaves. So basically, the shotgun did the job. And therefore, the question that I'm getting in Instagram is, hey, I'm thinking about buying my first gun. Very typical question from, in terms of the Latin American community, people that are not all that into firearms, so they're looking at buying one now. Which one should I buy? A handgun, a shotgun? What's best for me? Even if you have several guns, which is the case of many of you guys in the United States watching this, you can still only use one at a time. So this still applies. If something goes bump in the night, even if you have 1,000 guns, which one should you pick up first? I'm actually going to be giving you a reply to the question, something that is based on facts, and this is going to be pretty useful for you. So what we saw in the video was that, number one, it worked. He shot the criminal with a shotgun. The criminal took off. He left. This, though, you have to keep it in context. The criminal could have opened fire right away when he saw the store owner with a shotgun, with the AR. If he had opened fire, there's a good chance the man would not be alive anymore. If the criminal had opened fire when he heard the round, the shotgun blast, he may end up getting shot and left as well. I don't know exactly what happened inside the criminal's head. I know that he just took off and left. I don't know if he was just counting on intimidation, if he was shocked, surprised by all of a sudden walking in with his big gun and thinking he had everything under control, and all of a sudden, god damn it, I'm looking at the wrong end of a shotgun. This is not going the way I want, and then I'm getting shot. I leave. I run away for my life. That's a very natural reaction. I don't know if he decided to take off when he heard the shotgun blast. That is also something that is quite stunning, especially indoors. A shotgun can be very loud. A .357 Magnum will be very loud as well, even a 9mm. But a shotgun, yes, that is a significant blast, and some people are shocked by it. I don't know if he was shocked when the bullets hit him, when the projectiles hit him in the arm. What I can tell you though is that if the man has opened fire right away with the AR, maybe the store owner wouldn't be there anymore. If he had decided to fight instead of flee, maybe the store owner would have been shot as well. So the shotgun did its work. I can tell you though that there was a lot of luck involved in that as well. Now, a few other things that we can say is that this got the job done. And the big advantage that a shotgun has is, of course, the stopping power. This is usually very effective. This is one of the more effective rounds you can fire in home defense, in a self-defense scenario. By any parameters that you're looking at, buckshot is very effective. In that case, not only is this effective, it also has a certain amount of spread. And here's where fantasy gets mixed with reality. People sometimes assume that you're going to be having a huge, the famous street sweep, or what, right? You just clear everything in the hallway or in the... No, it doesn't work that way. How this works is the following. Usually in shotguns for home defense, you're talking about a cylinder choke. A choke is how the end of the barrel is choking and closing closing so as to keep those pellets together. That is something you want, especially in a hunting gun, because the more choke you have, the more closing of the walls of that barrel you have on the inside, the more pressed together those pellets are, and the more together they'll reach further away. So instead of spreading right away, it's going to be keeping closer at further distance, especially for small game hunting where you're looking at 20, 30 yards away. You want a nice cluster of pellets hitting the target and not spreading very wide, so that's not effective. Now, when it comes to home defense shotguns, usually you have a cylinder choke. That means that the walls are perfectly straight on both sides and it's not closing on the end of the barrel. This is going to be giving it a little bit more spread. Now, it's going to be depending on the shotgun, it's going to be depending on the ammunition. Those are the variables you have to consider, but based on my experience at that range, I can tell you that somewhat like this is kind of the spread that you have in that shotgun. This means that if you have a target like this, and the spread I have is somewhat like this, then this is a perfect hit. This is a less than perfect hit, but almost half the pellets are still hitting the target. Now, if I'm shooting with that .357 Magnum, and this is where the bullet goes, that is a full miss. That is not effective in any way. Now, if I have this spread, half of those pellets hitting the target, that is still going to be quite effective. And it's probably what happened in this case. Or not, maybe all of those pellets hit. But even if half of those did, and this one is 12 pellets of 7mm, that is a lot of pellets that are hitting. And hits matter more than the power of each individual projectile. Even when you're looking at a .357 Magnum, a miss is still a full miss. The same goes for a 9mm. Now, if you're looking at that, yes, those are the two big advantages that you have. The stopping power and somewhat of the spread. The disadvantage, though, that you have in a shotgun is that you heard this, then you heard the boom, and for most people, be like this. You will rarely hear in a self-defense video something like this, which is what you should be listening if someone knows how to use a shotgun. Usually it's going to be boom, or actually more likely, and then boom, and then either you don't hear nothing or you boom. Another one, and then boom. That is the reality of using a pump action shotgun for most people. It's not like in the movies where they just are faster than a full auto rifle. The reality is that most people somewhat manipulate that a lot less fast than a semi-automatic. It's not like in the movies, guys, or even in YouTube videos where the guy is, yeah, if I do a YouTube video, I'm going as fast as I could possibly go. It's going to be, you know, like, sure, it's going to be like that. The reality is that most people don't, and that requires a lot of training. And not only that, it's a YouTube video. You can do several runs. You upload the best one that you can. That's what we all do, okay? But the reality is that in self-defense, you're going to be seeing people that don't have that kind of training, and it's going to be rarely this. It's going to be first loading, putting a shell in the chamber. Boom. And then someone like that. You will not have the speed that you probably want to have if that fight continues, and it doesn't end with that first round. This is why, even though this is often recommended as the best thing in the world for home defense, reality is that you're better off with a semi-automatic shotgun where those follow-up shots are simply a matter of just pulling the trigger one more time and not requiring a manual skill of yours in a moment of high stress. Here is where, of course, you have the advantage of a double-action revolver or a semi-automatic pistol. Now, which one is more important? The advantage that I have in terms of stopping its power and some spread, or the quick follow-up shot? Well, in an ideal world, something like my little shotgun. This is a short semi-automatic 14-inch barrel shotgun. This is pretty much ideal even for home defense, because you have those follow-up shots. Even though you have just a 4+1, it is still extremely effective. So you have the follow-up shots, and it's not all that big. But for most people, if your options are either, or even if what you have in your house already is a pump action or a handgun, what you should be looking at is where are you likely to end up using this gun? Because if you're likely to end up using this gun in a large estate, in a business like in this case, I can tell you that at that distance, somewhat of a spread was definitely involved. It wasn't just one ragged hole at that distance, especially with a cylinder choke. Yeah, some spread was definitely there. and that may have made the difference between hitting or missing. You still have to aim with your gun because you're perfectly capable of missing with a shotgun, even at very close range. Happens all the time. But if you're looking at someone that lives in a small condo, in a small apartment, in a small house, where you have what, 5-6 yards range, you know, if this is your room and you live in a small apartment, this may be like 4 or 5 yards across in that case, and maybe a lot less here. But it's also kind of tricky because, especially when it's like a home defense scenario, people may end up shooting from the doorway. So the attacker is breaking in through here, and you're over here at this other corner, and you have maybe 5 or 6 yards, even in a small apartment. And that is a distance in which, yes, you're perfectly capable of missing. But for smaller places, smaller interior rooms, usually you're better off with something that is more handy rather than an 18.5-inch shotgun, which is not as practical for moving around. And especially when you have to manipulate the gun for each shot, I would honestly just pick my handgun in a small condo, small apartment, small house, because those follow-up shots, the way I see it, are going to be more important than the individual power of each round. If that one round didn't get the job done and I have the guy on top of me, I don't want to fight so as to get this working and somehow get this pointed at the guy while he's trying to murder me. I want to have something that's a lot more handy, more convenient. Now, bigger house, all the way. Yeah, get yourself, you have shotguns, you have handguns. Perfect. In a big house, a large estate, a homestead, maybe even better, get yourself a rifle. But if you want to get a shotgun, I think that's one of the best options you have, especially because of this. Now, little caveat of mine, I would go with a semi-automatic shotgun because of that follow-up shot, because I know that what you see in movies or what you see in YouTube videos, it's not the reality of an actual gunfight. Folks, I hope I answered that question for you. It makes sense. I mean, if you think about it, it's not that unreasonable to have a certain pros and cons in each kind of firearm, and the pros that you have in one are compensated by the potential cons that you may end up having if things don't go your way and you just don't fulfill the objective of stopping that threat with just one single round fired. Folks, that's gonna be all for now. I hope you enjoy the video. Remember, you have my books available there below. See you next time. Have an awesome day. Take care.